WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, 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 everyone, and happy Monday. It's Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. We're so glad to have you with us, as always, on Monday at 4 o'clock. We've got lots and lots and lots of things to talk about today, lots of information for you. But I'm going to start off with something we've been talking about it just seems forever now, but for at least the last year and a half. That is COVID. And I just want to give you just a couple of updates on what's going on with COVID with us here in Michigan and Wayne County. First of all, just something about the U.S. 1/3 of all the COVID cases in the United States in the last week were, guess where? In Texas and in Florida. In the two of the largest states in the country, who have decided that they're not going to have masks. They're not going to do anything that's going to help get rid of this COVID and to save folks' lives. 1/3 of all the cases in the last week have been in Texas and Florida. Now let's go to Wayne County. Wayne County is hanging in there. These are just updates from the entire time. So far, we've had 104,455 cases in Wayne County, and about 2,565 people have died. That's in all of Wayne County over the last 18 months that we've been dealing with this. For those of you who want to get tested or who want to know where you can get a shot, call this number, 888-535-6136. That's the COVID hotline. It can tell you where you can get tested. It can tell you where you can get a shot and what time and so on. But in the meantime, you can go to most CVS stores, most Walgreens, many churches. There are all sorts of places you can go to get your vaccine. I suggest you do that. And I know there are a lot of people still out there who think that I'm not going to get it. They haven't tested enough. I'm not going to get it. But talk to some of those people whose loved ones have died recently from it. Talk to some of those people who have had COVID and wish they could have gotten the vaccine. So I want you to think about not just you, because you're important. Absolutely, you're important. But we all have a responsibility to each other to help each other stay safe. You drive a car, you have to have a license, and you have to wear a seatbelt. And you talk about people making you do things, they make you wear a seatbelt or you get a ticket. You can't smoke in certain public places. I mean, they're just things that we all have to do or not do just to keep everybody else safe. Consider that. Consider what your responsibility is to this entire community. But I think at this point in time, the most important thing is just think about our children. What are we going to do in the next 2 to 3 weeks when our children start going back to school? Now, in many of the southern states, the children are already back in school. So let's just think of what in the world are we going to do and how we're going to handle this when it's time for us to go back to school. Tomorrow evening is a school board meeting. That meeting is from 5:30 until 8:30. It takes place at Renaissance High School, and you can do it. You can listen to it online. You can listen to it on Zoom. You can ask questions online, and you can ask questions on Zoom, or it will be in their first in-person meeting in probably over a year and a half. But you need to listen to what they're saying because they're going to be talking about what happens when our children go back to school. Are they going to have to wear a mask? Are they going to have to be 3 feet apart? What are the parameters going to be? Will the teachers have to be vaccinated? Will all of the employees of the system have to be vaccinated? And if not, will they have to take a regular test? I mean, what are going to be the protocols to help keep our children safe? And clearly, the staff are important people, but I've got to tell you, our children are more important. I'm just saying. I've got 3 grandchildren in Detroit Public Schools. I've got children who are in the Detroit Public Schools as employees and godchildren and all of those nieces and nephews who are employees. All of them are important. But right now, the most important people are what are we going to do to take care of our children? Our job to take care of those babies. Adults' jobs are to take care of themselves. But our jobs are to take care of the babies. So we have to make sure that we're doing whatever is necessary to take care of those babies. And if that means you need to get a shot, then you need to get a shot. And if you don't want to get the shot, that is your prerogative, but you can't work in Detroit Public Schools around children. That's just the bottom line. You can't do it. I'm sure they're going to make some kind of parameters for you so you can keep your jobs, you can do distance learning or whatever that is. But you can't be in the classroom with children who have not been vaccinated and you've not been vaccinated, help me understand that if that is what your position is. So I'm going to let that go for now. But I just want to let you know the number to call, 888-535-6136 is the hotline. Now, another subject. We have been accustomed to going over to Canada at will, at least from those of us from Detroit and Michigan. I mean, we could just go to another country at whenever we felt like it, take 5 or 10 minutes to get there. That has not been the case over the last 18 months. Well, as of the 9th, as of today, we can now go back to Canada. We can visit Canada again. And for those people who have relatives there who have not seen your relatives, you can go see your relatives now. If you've had cottages there, you've not been able to go to your cottage. And some people have fiancés there. They have not been able to see those people. Well, as of midnight last night, the 9th, you're able to now travel to Canada. But there are some restrictions. First of all, you must be fully vaccinated. You must have had, if you're taking the Pfizer or Moderna, you must have had both of your shots. If it's Johnson & Johnson, there is only one shot. So you must be fully vaccinated to get into Canada. If you are traveling with children that are 12 years old and under who can't get the vaccination, they must be accompanied by their parents or the significant adult in their life. But those children must be tested on the first day they enter Canada and on the 12th day, of the 8th day of their visit. So if you're traveling to Canada with children that are 12 years old and under, they must be tested on the first day they enter Canada and on the 8th day that they enter the country. Anyone with any symptoms of COVID will not be allowed to cross over the border. Will not be allowed to cross over the border. Now, some things you have to have with you if you're planning to travel to Canada. And I know many people are probably trying to visit relatives or go to Toronto, one of my favorite cities, or go to Niagara Falls, which is my very, very favorite city under the sun. You must have your ID with you, your COVID ID with you that shows that you have been vaccinated. So that little card that they give you, that they fill out when you get your COVID vaccine, you must either have that with you or have a photo shot of that card with you when you enter the country. You must also download the app, and you have to fill out information on this app that they have. There's an app you must go to fill out before you go to Canada. It has to be filled out within 72 hours of the time you plan to go to Canada. And you fill that app out, and you also have to have your COVID vaccine card that shows you have been vaccinated or a Photoshop of that. You have to have all of that before you are able to enter the country. You must get a COVID-19 test before you go to Canada. So you have to have that test within 72 hours of the time you plan to go to Canada. So if you're planning to go to Canada next week and you get the shot today, that won't do you any good. You have to have the shot within 72 hours of the time you plan to go to Canada. So you've got to have your copy of your vaccine showing that you were vaccinated, your vaccine card, or a photocopy of it. You have to have been tested within 72 hours of your going to Canada. And you must have filled out, there's an application you must fill out within 72 hours of your going to Canada. The next thing is you must have a credit card. So for those of you who don't have credit cards, you better go buy a debit card or do something because cash is not accepted. Isn't that something? I remember the days when we used to say, one of these days, cash is not going to be good. Well, this is that day. No cash. You must have a credit card. They will not accept cash. You must have a credit card with you in order to enter Canada. Isn't that incredible? But I do remember the days when we would say, cash is king. Well, cash isn't king anymore. Credit cards are king now. You must have some kind of credit card, debit card, or something that you will be able to use when you enter Canada. So let me just go over that again. You got to have your vaccination card. You have to be tested within 72 hours of your going, and you have to fill out the online app. And you have to have done all of that within 72 hours of your going to Canada. And if you have children, the children must take a test on the first day they enter the country and on the 8th day they enter the country. And if you've got any symptoms of COVID, you will not be let in. How about that? So that's what's going on with Canada and the COVID. Another subject, and we talked about this last Monday. Last Monday was the day before primary election day. The day before primary election day. I want anybody who's listening, guess how many people voted on primary election day in Detroit? Just take a wild guess. It won't be real wild, but take one anyway. First of all, let me tell you, there are 499,504 people registered to vote in Detroit. That's just under 500,000 people registered to vote in Detroit. Primary election, people talk about how important it is. Oh, we want a voice. We want somebody to listen to us. We want a voice in what's going to happen in our city. Oh, we should be able to do this. We should be able to tell them what to do. Well, guess what? 499,504 people are registered. You want to know how many voted? Under 80,000. Under 80,000 people. Is that not the most incredible thing you've ever heard of? That means that 419,000 people did not vote. 419,000 plus people did not vote. And all those people you hear running around talking about all the time, oh yeah, they did this and they that. You don't have a right to say anything because you didn't vote. So don't ever, I don't want anybody to tell me anything if you didn't vote. You can't talk to me about what's going on and what you want to see done and how you want to see it done. If you didn't vote, it tells me you don't care. So that 490,000 plus people who didn't vote, oh well. I said 420,000 people, I'm sorry. Because 71,000 of you voted. Isn't that heartbreaking? 71,315. That is so heartbreaking. Just so heartbreaking. So how can you legitimately sit back and talk about what you think and what you want and what you believe and what so-and-so should have done and what so-and-so should not have done and if you didn't even take the time to vote? It wasn't raining. It was a beautiful day. You had all sorts of locations you could have voted. And if you didn't want to go into the polls, you could have dropped it into a drop box the day before. You could have voted absentee ballot. You could have filled it out and dropped it off at all sorts of drop boxes all over the city. No excuses. Absolutely no excuses for not exercising your responsibility. It's not just a right. It is a responsibility that you get out and do what you need to do to sustain our democracy, to sustain what we think we have right now. Because, the way some people are going, they don't want you to vote anyway. And you're just making it easy for them because you're not voting when you can. When it's nice outside, when it isn't raining, when it isn't cold, you're not voting. That's heartbreaking. So since you didn't vote, let me just tell you what the results of the election were. Because you're going to get another chance. Now, this was a primary, and I know that primaries typically don't get a lot of people out. But it's got to be more than 72,000 people. And I'm rounding up. It was 71,003 something. So there's got to be more people in this city that care about what's going on than that. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. So what's going to happen in November? First Tuesday in November. You'll hear us again on that first Monday in November talking to you about voting, talking to you about what's at stake. So let's talk about it. The mayor of the city of Detroit. And let me tell you what happens now. The top vote getters are the ones who will now be on the ballot in November. The top vote getters. There were probably 8 or 10 people running for mayor. The top vote getters will be on the ballot in November. You'll have 2 choices in November to vote. You'll have a choice of Mayor Mike Duggan, who is the current mayor, or Mr. Anthony Adams, Attorney Anthony Adams. Those are the 2 people you'll have a choice of in November when you vote, because they were the 2 top vote getters. For the city clerk, 2 top vote getters. The current city clerk, Janice Winfrey, and the next person closest to her had the next highest number of votes, Mr. Denzel McCampbell. That's for city clerk. Now for city council. Now, we talked about this last week. There are 9 city council persons. 2 of them are at large seats. 7 of them are district seats. 2 at large, 7 district. In November, you will vote for one of the 4 top vote getters. The 4 top vote getters for the at large seats are the first one, Janae Ayers. The next one, Coleman Young. The next one, Mary Waters. And the next one, Nicole Small. I gave them to you in the order that their votes came in. Janae Ayers got the most votes. Coleman Young got the second most votes. Mary Waters got the third. And Nicole Small got the 4th most votes. So those will be the people that will be your choices to vote for in November. So in November, you will vote for 2 of those 4 people. Do your homework. Find out what they stand for. Vote for 2 of those people. Proposal P. And we heard all sorts of people talking about Proposal P. I mean, there were just all sorts of meetings and rallies and so on, and you were all so concerned about it. However, of the 499,000 people who are eligible to vote in Detroit, only 71,300 plus decided to vote. As important as Proposal P is to this city, only 71,000 plus people decided that they were going to go out and exercise their right and exercise their opinion on what they thought was best for this city. Proposal P was the new charter for the city of Detroit. The Charter Commission met for months and months and months and months. Got all sorts of input. Met all over the city. And you folks were just raising holy heck about, oh, I want this to happen. I want that to happen. Proposal P, the charter this. Only 71,300 and some of you decided that it was important enough to go to the polls and vote. So Proposal P did not pass. Proposal P did not pass. The noes were 46,707. The yeses were 22,696. Proposal P did not pass. All that heck y'all raised about having a new charter, being able to set our own goals, being able to do what we think we need to do for our city. Only 71,300 plus of you decided that it was important enough to vote on. And you don't get another chance. This is it. This is it. The primary was it. So you don't get a chance to vote in November on what you think Proposal B should be. It's done. Proposal P did not pass. We stay with the charter we have today. Now, City Council. City Council is a whole other ball game. And I'm going to talk about City Council, but before then, I'm going to ask our engineer if they play just a little bit of a little music to lead into this City Council race, because you're going to hear a wonderful song that's going to be so neat because it's going to talk about us. So we're going to come back in just a couple of seconds, and we're going to talk about the City Council race and the people who are going to be on the ballot. How about that? Be back in a minute. We're we're back. Wasn't that great? I can't wait. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things you can't wait for, and I just can't wait to see how God is going to bless all of us. Going to bless this city, bless our children. I just can't wait because none of this works without Him blessing us. So just wanted to make sure you know that. But now let me go back to our election, City Council. Let's talk about a little civics lesson about Detroit City Council. There are 9 city council persons, 9 of them. 7 are elected by districts 1 through 7. 2 are elected at large. So you will have at least one new at large member because President Brenda Jones has decided not to run for reelection. And so you'll have one new city council person, at least one, and maybe two. Let me put it that way. You'll have at least one and possibly two, depending on how the election turns out. But you'll have 4 choices. Your choices for the at large seats will be Janae Ayers, Coleman Young, Mary Waters, and Nicole Small. Those were the 4 top vote getters. So when the election comes in November, you'll vote for 2 of those people. Now, the district races. District 1, James Tate and Crystal LaRosa. James Tate and Crystal LaRosa were the top vote getters. And so you will vote for one of those people. Now, you won't vote for 2 of those. You'll only vote for one of those persons in the November general election. District 1 is over Rosedale Park, North Rosedale Park, Prairie St. Mary, that area. Now, District 2. There were several people running, and I got to apologize to you because everywhere I looked, they would not give me the second place person for District 2. That was the same thing for District 3 and District 6. So I'm going to give you all of them for District 2. District 2 is Palmer Park, Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest, Green Acres, 7 Mile, Livernois, 6 Mile, Finkel, 8 Mile, Wyoming, Schaefer, Woodward. That's District 2. District 2 is represented by Roy McAllister. There are those who are running in that race. You will vote for just one of these people: Angelo Calloway, Michael Evans, Jalen Harris, LeVan Adams, or Jocelyn Harris. That's District 2. You vote for one. District 3. District 3 is far east side. District 3 is, if you know anything about the old Denby and Osborne and Pershing and all of those areas, east, Gratiot, 8 Mile, Sherwood, all of those areas, Hayes. District 3. Scott Benson, Stephen Shelton, Adams Monday, Dennis Green, and Vanessa Olive. Scott Benson is the current person, but you'll vote for one of those people, and you've already voted for some, and I just don't know why they didn't give us all of the numbers. Typically, when that happens, that means that even though some of these people filed, their petitions weren't good enough to have them on the ballot. So that may be why they didn't show. District 4. District 4 is East English Village. It is the Van Dyke, Jefferson area, the Boulevard, all of the areas for Indian Village and East English Village and all of those places, Sinbad's, the Water Department, Belle Isle. I'm trying to give you some feel for where it is. That's District 4. The 2 people that you'll have a choice will be Letitia Johnson and M.L. Elrick. District 5, the Honorable Mary Sheffield, who is the President Pro Tem of the City Council and probably the youngest person on the City Council. The Honorable Mary Sheffield is running unopposed. How about that? Nobody filed to run against her. Says something about her. Says something about the job she's doing and the respect she has with people in her district. Mary Sheffield running unopposed. Don't worry about Mary. Mary's going to be just fine. District 6. District 6 is the district where Castellano Lopez, Councilwoman Castellano Lopez, represented District 6. She did not run for re-election, and there are 4 people running in that seat: Hector Santiago, David Sanchez, Mika Jordan and Gabrielle Santiago Romero. One of those people will be your city council person. District 6, that would be Southwest Detroit, along with Mexican Village, along with, let's see, downtown Detroit, part of downtown Detroit. So that would be District 6, West Side, let's say Michigan and the Boulevard and Livernois and Michigan and anything that almost goes to the Dearborn city limits. So you're talking about District 6. District 7. District 7 would be the West Side. Again, goes to Dearborn on the south at Tyreman, goes north, probably to Grand River and the expressway on 96, goes west to the city limits of Detroit. So that would probably be Telegraph, Plymouth, let's see what else, Joy Road, Tyreman, Evergreen, the Rouge Park. All of that is District 7. Brightmoor, all of that's District 7. The people running in that district are Fred Durhall and Regina Ross, two candidates for District 7. So those are the people that you will be voting for city council in those particular districts. And just for your information, for you to just figure out, I checked on the salaries for the city council, and the president makes more than everybody else. That's because the president has to do more than everybody else. But the president's salary is $94,111. The individual city council members' salary, $89,546. That's an individual city council person, $89,546. And now let's talk about that. President City Council. How does somebody get to be president of the City Council and president pro tem of the City Council? They're elected by their peers. So once the election is over in November, January 1st, the new council people take office, and they will vote on who they want to be their president. More to come on that. That will happen next year. But I just wanted to give you a feel for what happened in the election last week, what your choices are going to be, and to tell you that I'm still disappointed that only 71,300 and some odd people decided to go to the polls on last Tuesday. One of the most important elections we have, to vote, to elect your mayor, your city council person, your clerk, on Proposal P, and you chose not to go to the election. My, especially considering what's going on nationally. Do you know that the voting is so important to some people? The Texas legislators, the Texas state legislators left their state to try and prevent those who would take the vote away from us. And when I say us, I mean all of us. Obviously, they want to take it away from black and brown people. But they want to take it away from anybody who doesn't think the way they think. Well, that's not how democracy is supposed to work. Those people left their state to try and protect the vote and are in fear of being arrested as soon as they get back into the state. And here we are, sunny day, beautiful day, could have dropped the ballot in a drop box anywhere all over the city. Polls are such that you can typically walk to one. Beautiful sunny day, and we chose not to vote. I am so upset with all of us. But okay. I'm gonna give y'all a break, a little bit of a break, not a whole lot, but just a little bit of a break on that one. But it's just unfortunate that people chose not to vote in this so important election. And then they'll be the first ones talking about somebody didn't do something they wanted, or they don't like something, or somebody should have done something else. Well, la-di-da. How about that? And what I didn't tell you, and I apologize for this, the police commission also was up for election. And I didn't give you those numbers because there were not enough people in that. They didn't have two in every district running, so it wasn't a contest. But you'll see them in November on the general election. You will see that those police commissioners will be voted on for reelection. They're real important people. They're real important people. That's the civilian oversight of our police department. They are so important. Don't leave them out. They are the civilian oversight of the police department. So you don't have police department overseeing itself. There are civilians who do that. Real important. And just one quick note about Southfield. Southfield did not have an election because they did not have more than two people running for each of their seats. There has to be at least three people running for those any position before you can have an election. For instance, the mayor of Southfield was up, and we had him on the show. You may remember a few weeks ago, Mayor Cyber. He had an opponent. He and his opponent did not have an election because there were only two of them. They will have an election in November. The same holds true for the Southfield City Council. So that is why you did not hear a lot about the Southfield election. But you will hear a lot about it, I'm sure, in the coming months. You will hear lots and lots and lots about it. So I'm just I go back to don't take what we have for granted. Please don't. Because as things are going, there are those who would take it away at the drop of a hat. They simply live to wreak havoc on people who disagree with them. And they don't care whether you and I vote or not. They just don't care. And what really upsets them is when we vote in numbers to overturn the kinds of things that they want. They don't want you to be able to vote. They don't want you to be able to determine your own way in life. They would much rather have us not vote and have somebody tell you what to do and how to do it and when to do it, and not have your own elected officials voting for you. So please don't take this for granted. It is so important. I can't tell you how important it is. It's so important. Right now, we still have the right to vote. But I want to tell you, your state Senate and House, who are Republican dominated, are trying to make it so that if they don't like the outcome of the election, they're trying to give themselves the power to change it. How about that? Thank God we've got a Dana Nessel who my girl is state attorney general. She's bad. She takes no prisoners. She does her job and she does it well. But we've got somebody who can do that. There are states who don't have a Dana Nessel, who don't have someone to care about everybody and the least of these. So let's not take it for granted that we're always going to have the ability to take care of ourselves and have set our own destiny. You know, it has not been that many years ago that we could not set our own destiny. Many of you who are walking around today don't remember the early 1960s and the 50s when you couldn't vote, when you had to tell somebody how many jelly beans were in a jar before you could vote, when you had to tell them what a certain passage of the Constitution said before you could vote. So let's not think that this cannot happen again. Please, please exercise your right, exercise your civic duty to do the right thing, go to the polls and vote. Now, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear me talking about some other things that pertain to our children. One of them is we need to make sure our children are going to school, because absenteeism is the first indicator that leads us to know that children are going to go from school to jail. If they're not going to class, they're not attending school, you can better much believe that that's the first indicator that they're not going to be doing what they need to do to stay in school and to stay out of jail. It has been proven. So I'm going to have some people on for you to talk to about that and ask questions, because we've got to do something about getting our children to school. And particularly in the elementary grades, that's where we have to do it. Because by the time they get to middle school and high school, it's almost too late. We have to do this at the elementary school level. And remember, elementary kids can't get themselves to school. That's on the parents. So we got to talk to parents about getting those babies in school. So that's a conversation that we're going to start having. We're probably going to have it every week. I'm going to be talking about something about getting these babies in school. Our responsibility. Kindergartens can't get themselves to school. First, second, third, fourth, they can't get themselves to school. Parents have the responsibility to get them to school. So let's make sure that we are doing everything we can to take care of those babies. And you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. And the last thing I'm going to tell you about, I went to an event yesterday. It was absolutely wonderful. It was a luncheon, and they talked about student loans. Student loans. We've got people, young people, and some of them are probably not as young as they used to be, still paying student loans. Can't live completely right because they have these student loans. We need to forgive those student loans, especially if these young people are in the education field. If they belong to anybody's school system, doing anything in a school system, and they got student loans, they ought to forgive those loans right away, because we already don't pay them enough. We ought to forgive those loans. So we'll be talking more about that, and I'll bring some more information about that again. My goodness, it's time for me to go. That went so fast. Wow. You know, they always say, don't give a politician or a pastor a mic, or they'll just wear it out. Well, I didn't realize I could talk that much. Well, maybe I did. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being with us here on the Community Bell Show. We're going to be back with you next Monday. We're going to be bringing you some more useful information. And if you have something that you want us to talk about, information you want us to bring to you, send it to us. WVTCRadioDetroit.com is the email. WVTC Radio Detroit. And tell your friends about us. Tell your friends what kind of good information you get from WVTC. You get it from me. You get it from Sandy Rose, the wonderful owner of this station. You get it from all of the other participants on the shows that she presents. So if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll find somebody who can talk about it if we can't talk about it ourselves. Thank you so much. So glad you were with us for this hour. We'll see you next week. WVTC Radio Detroit at gmail.com. That is our number. If you want to do something for us, let us know. We'd be glad to have you. Again, WVTC Radio Detroit. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit,